Conan the Barbarian. Man-card movie extraordinaire. What's up, folks? This is Justin Garcia, a.k.a. Master Chim, and I'm here with the White Barbarian.
What's up?
Patrick Kelly, White Boy Pat.
Yes.
And welcome to another episode of The Pressure Project. ThePressureProject.com is our website. Info at ThePressureProject.com is our contact email. YouTube.com/ThePressureProject is our YouTube channel. Check it out. Subscribe. All right. So today we have a treat. And this is, how many movie episodes have we done so far?
A lot.
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, Star Wars, Star Trek. Do you count Star Trek?
Star Trek?
Star Trek.
No, because that
It
was
was a TV show.
TV show.
We did The Godfather.
Right?
Yeah. That's it. We didn't do any other dedicated movie. We did ninja movies as a subject.
As like a as a more general topic, right?
Yeah.
But this is my number 2.
Yeah.
This is my number 2. Where was this in yours?
It was in there somewhere. The list was arbitrary.
So inconsistent.
It's an arbitrary list. I'll change that list right now.
Got him.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Might have been number 3.
it might have been,
I have
or
no
it might
idea.
have been number 4.
Could have been number 4.
This is number 2 on my list.
Yeah.
That's Princess Bride.
Yeah.
So with Conan, we move away from the sort of feel good, I guess vanilla introduction of so many powerful lessons that you see in Princess Bride, my favorite movie.
Yeah.
And you get into the more masculine, violent, primal world of Robert E. Howard's Hyboria.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the movie. Little some background information. 1982 is when the movie was released, and it was co-written and directed by John Milius. Now, the other co-writer was Oliver Stone. You may have heard of him.
He's done some stuff. Yeah.
John Milius, when you talk about a guy who has the Midas touch on man-card movies.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Red Dawn's Magnum
legit.
Force.
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now. Jeremiah Johnson.
Oh, man.
Didn't know about that,
No.
did you? Jeremiah Johnson.
Yeah.
2 on Tom Kyer put us on to Jeremiah Johnson.
I've never seen that before.
If you have never seen that movie, you owe it to yourself as a man to watch that movie.
It's incredible.
And he also was one of the writers on the TV show Rome.
Rome is legit.
Incredible. So it's sort of like whatever.
13.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever he's taken a part in has, it sort of stands out.
Yeah.
In the world
He's
of
pretty good.
And men's entertainment, right?
He's pretty good. Now, is he doing the King Conan, the new one?
I don't believe he is.
No.
I don't believe he is. I know Arnold's committed to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think he is. And I didn't research that too much.
Yeah.
But
that's for another day.
But that is another story.
Yeah, but that is another story.
The Conan character is based on Robert E. Howard's character. Now, Robert E. Howard, if you don't know, was a pulp fiction writer. He offed himself at like 30 years old, just eerily attached to his mother. I think his mother passed away, and he was just an absolute mess.
All right.
But he was also the creator of some of the most just fantastic, masculine stories and characters that anybody's ever created. With the Conan stories, there's a whole entire world. And I think about Robert E. Howard. Now, I'm a hobbyist, a sort of amateur Robert E. Howard fan.
Okay.
I'm not somebody that could sit here and just read off everything that he's written.
Yeah.
But with Robert E. Howard, he created this Hyboria and this Hyborian age. And what you see in that world and that timeline is really, he wanted the freedom to do whatever he wanted to do without having to sort of follow a timeline that was specific to history.
Sure.
So he didn't want to be controlled. And who knows why he did it. I wouldn't hold it against him if he just didn't want to be bothered looking shit up all day.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there's validity in that. Some writers enjoy the real sort of overlap to actual history.
Yeah.
We talk about historical fiction, Stephen Pressfield,
Yeah.
for example.
His some of the best.
Yeah, just a masterful sort of weaving of fiction through, the timeline of history. But Robert E. Howard wasn't that guy. Robert E. Howard created his own world, and he created this character in Conan that just sort of just enamored himself, to the masses.
Yeah.
So in this movie, you see a sort of collection of Robert E. Howard's stories, John Milius's writing. You see an incredible cast of actors put just on this great plot.
Yeah.
And a classic movie was made when it was all said and done. Arnold Schwarzenegger stars. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Everybody knows who Arnold is at this point. The Austrian oak.
The Governator.
The Governator.
Yeah.
And it is it's sort of known that his role in Pumping Iron is what got him cast as Conan. And I don't think it was, I forget the casting director who picked him. I don't think it was John Milius or Oliver Stone that picked Arnold. I think it was the casting director. I could be wrong, but I believe the reason he was picked wasn't because they thought he'd be just an incredible Conan.
Yeah.
They did feel that, but it was also the notoriety that he had gotten from Pumping Iron.
Yeah. So it wasn't Hercules in New York that got him the role.
It wasn't Hercules in New York at all. But for him, it was his breakout movie. It was
definitely
the one that put him on the map. And when you look at sort of longevity, right? You talk about in the fight games, like you're only a champion until you defend your belt. Right?
Correct.
Well, John Milius, Oliver Stone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, these are all people who have managed to stay at the top and managed to just been prolific in in their work. And Conan was just an incredible representation of all of them.
Yeah.
So a couple things about Conan. Best musical score ever in a movie, in my opinion.
It's amazing. Legit.
Now you have Basil Polidorus, and I'm probably bastardizing his last name. I know the music. I don't know the guy's name.
Looks good. Looks good to me.
Basil,
good to me, right? Basil.
Maybe Basil.
I don't know.
Basil. My mother's
Sounds like a
Italian.
Muppet.
She uses basil. So he was also responsible for the musical score of Iron Eagle,
Awesome.
RoboCop, The Hunt for Red October. So a whole slew of movies.
Yeah.
Conan, and right before we recorded, we listened to the intro.
Of course.
The beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
When you have Mako narrating the story and then, in comes the music. Oh, man, it gives you chills.
It's legit.
So a couple other things about Conan. Conan, his the movie very much represents, and maybe obviously I have a biased perspective where this is concerned, but a series of sort of pressure to power events.
Yeah.
So there were these little battles that Conan fought throughout the movie's length, and each one led to a sort of bigger, better version, more powerful version of Conan at the end of them. What you'll find is in the beginning of the movie, he received his chief motivator, for his life. I'd say it was twofold. I'd say it was the search for the riddle of steel.
Yes. What is the riddle of steel?
The quest that his father put him on because
Correct.
he thinks that one day he's going to have to answer the crime. What is the riddle of steel?
Yeah.
The other one is vengeance.
Yeah.
Thulsa Doom, played brilliantly by James Earl Jones,
Yes.
who was a sort of warlord, who became a cult leader. Early on, he right in the beginning of the movie, great scene of the raiders entering, the village and just murdering, all of Conan's people. Conan's just a boy at the time. The murder, the beheading of his mother.
Yeah, the dogs ate his father.
The dogs ate. Right. We're laughing because of
You can't help.
opera.
Yeah, the Conan musical opera now
Right.
It has a home.
We'll put that link.
Yeah.
All right. So if you don't know, there's a musical opera to so many of these action movies.
Yes.
I don't know who makes them, but they're brilliant.
One website, but it's
a
good.
website,
Yeah, or a YouTube channel. Yeah.
We'll put the link. But the one for Conan is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah. They sick the dogs on his father. He's holding his mother's hand.
Right.
She gets her head chopped off.
Right. And the way that it's filmed.
Yeah.
Some parts and maybe it's just some parts are a little sort of clumsier than others, and as far as the cinematography, just the way that the direction sort of plays out with the scene and the subject matter being handled. But in the beginning of the movie, the scene where his mother's killed is as perfectly a shot scene as you'll find.
It's incredible.
Everything was sort of set in motion in that scene.
Yeah.
The entire movie is the sort of product of what occurred in that scene.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was just tastefully done. The focus remaining on Conan when his mother was beheaded was perfect, because she was, a sort of tool in the development of who Conan would become. But the real focus was on him. If you talk about pressure to power, losing everything, being, and by the way, if you've never seen Conan, like, spoiler alert.
Well, it's like, if you've never seen Conan, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we really make no concessions for you.
It's like, what have you been doing?
So he was taken from, his family's murdered.
Yes.
The emotional, transformation that must occur, being a young boy, having witnessed that. Then he's brought to, the wheel of pain.
Correct.
Now, to me, this has always been a weak point in the plot.
This jump.
Where it's like he's 10, he's 20.
Well, I mean,
and by the way,
they followed, everyone's favorite story.
Yeah.
The story of Jesus H. Christ. They were like, yeah, you're little, now you're big. What happened?
Now you're big. What happened? Don't worry about it. Just have faith.
Faith.
So,
Horatio's.
Apparently, that wheel is great for rear delts.
Yeah.
Lats.
It does a full workout.
So hamstrings, quads, just the taper.
Yeah.
Taper of lats to waist. So to me, that is a weak point in the plot, if there is one. And there's
supplements
so few.
When you put your hands on it, there's like little needles.
Little needles that go into your
hands. You're good.
Little Hyborian needles.
Yeah. All the supplements.
But once he's taken off the wheel,
yes,
he's now an adult. Right? He's now a man, and he's brought to fight in the pit.
Yeah.
There we see the next great pressure to power moment.
Correct.
Where the fight starts, right? And he's fighting this little, I don't know, Chinese maniac with the sharpened teeth. And he starts getting his ass kicked, and he's feeling this pain.
He really doesn't know what's going on.
He has no idea. He's like a child.
Yeah. He's like, what do I do?
Right. And in that fight, you see him go from being a child in a man's body to a man in a man's body.
Yeah.
And then obviously he goes a little ape shit.
Then we get some montage action.
He just starts freaking it, killing people any way that he can.
My favorite being the
the elbow knife. Yeah, that was pretty badass.
That's the best.
And then the celebratory, posturing after it.
Yep. One of my favorite montages ever.
Yes, I mean pretty badass.
Yeah.
Then it goes to him being brought to actually train.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, this guy's got the right stuff. Let's actually train him. And they bring him to basically freaking Mongolians. He's like, and it's like all these cool things. The whole movie starts with the Nietzsche quote, whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger, paraphrased, of course.
Of course.
Starts with that. They managed to fit Mongolians in there. They managed to fit a paraphrased Genghis Khan quote.
Yeah.
The whole hear the lamentation of the women.
Of course, yeah. What is best in life?
Yeah, everything. It's like they just packed more and more testosterone into this movie wherever they could.
And that one quote, if you ask our children, they will recite it perfectly every time. What is best in life? All of them have it down.
Yes, that's one of the first things we taught our children. It's true. Not our daughters yet. But they'll know.
They will know too.
They'll know. But so he goes to study with the masters. Great scene where he's doing a sword kata, I guess, with one of the Asian masters, and he gets hit on his head, and the guy that he's training with smirks, like snickers.
Yeah.
And the guy walks up and does like the spinning back kick right to his midsection and floors him, which is just awesome.
Yeah.
You see Conan practicing on his own. So you see yet another transformation.
Correct.
From the boy to the man physically,
Yeah.
from the boy to the man mentally. And now it becomes the sort of emotional transformation of I'm now studied, I'm learned. You see when they bring the woman into his cage.
Yeah.
The way he handles her, he's becoming less of a savage, even though still a barbarian.
Correct.
Eventually, his owner, his master, sets him free.
Yeah.
And then we see the next transformation of this skilled, prepared, powerful man that was not yet free. So now he's given his freedom, and it's another sort of stage that he needs to conquer.
Correct.
You see him running in the fields, eventually chased by dogs, winding up falling down into the cave where he saw the Atlantean king.
Yeah.
The skeleton, and he winds up getting the sword.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Which is awesome. And you see him like eating dogs, or like having a dog, like dog fur, like jacket after that. And eventually he meets the witch. When he meets the witch,
he does.
Gets laid again.
He does.
Or at least starts, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, he gets it
Does
in.
it get laid?
He does. If you don't finish.
If you don't finish, like what is that? What's
I
the
don't
rule
know.
on that?
I would say yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Well, I mean, that specific instance where he
was more terrible than most.
Yeah, she tried to kill him, and then he threw her and burned
she
her alive.
turned into like this shadow banshee.
Yeah, that's much worse than usual.
Right. So one of the things that's sort of underlying the movie is his relationship with Crom.
Crom,
right? Who's the god of his people.
Correct.
And the great god of steel,
Crom on his mountain.
Right. And Crom on his mountain.
Yeah.
So after he meets this witch, and she winds up, turning into a freaking, ghost and running all over the place like a demon, running out, flying out. He meets outside Subutai.
Yeah.
So Subutai, who's played by this little like Mexican guy, who I think he actually is.
That's
his
funny.
name's like Jerry Lopez. Or
That's
something
great.
Like that.
Yeah.
But brilliantly played.
Excellent. Yeah.
And Subutai, another throwback to just man shit. Subutai was the name of one of Genghis Khan's generals.
Legit.
So Subutai is Conan meets Subutai outside. Subutai's chained up. And great scene where they meet.
Yeah.
Yet another great scene where they meet. And Subutai says, I haven't eaten in days. And Conan says, what says you will? And he makes mention of, look, the wolves will be back, or the dogs will be back. At least give me a sword so I could die fighting.
Yeah.
Conan frees him, obviously.
Of course.
And
probably based on that statement alone.
Right. And then that's the thing. It's strength. And next scene, they're both, jogging through, through the barren land. And it's just it's a great, sort of transition now to the free man who meets another free man, and the brotherhood begins.
Yeah. He starts taking steps towards tribe.
Right, absolutely. They visit a bunch of towns. Probably my least favorite, only because I think it doesn't sort of pay enough homage to the sort of regal aspect, the nobility of Conan.
Yeah,
where the two of them are drunk.
Yeah,
and he like punches the camel. Like everybody loves that part. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Me, like, I don't need my heroes being funny.
And they even made him in the second one. They had him punch a camel too, like that. Right, carried over into the sequel.
Right, and the guy says, "What is it? This will protect you from evil." And Subutai goes, "I am evil." And then Conan, those slots. He's talking about the girls.
Yeah.
But it goes against this, but I guess balance was necessary.
Sure.
And ultimately it all worked out.
But there's parts that like, all right, so if there anytime there's a sequel and they steal that for the second one, they had
That
him
was
drunk.
the novelty,
They had him
right.
drunk in the second one again. He's like, it's like that's so it's a disposable moment in the first one.
Right. Another great scene. Conan and Subutai sitting down eating. Conan asks him, and I'm going to read out the dialogue because this is so great. He goes, "What gods do you pray to?" Subutai says, "I pray to the four winds. And you?" "To Crom. But I seldom pray to him. He doesn't listen." Subutai chuckles. "What good is he then?" "It's just like I've always said. Conan, he is strong. If I die, I have to go before him, and he will ask me, 'What is the riddle of steel?' If I don't know it, he will cast me out of Valhalla and laugh at me." So again, little side note. Valhalla.
Yeah.
It's like, just manly warrior shit.
Just throw that
How
in
much
there.
can we put in this movie?
Yeah.
"That's Crom, strong on his mountain." Subutai says, "My God is greater." Conan laughs. "Crom laughs at your four winds. He laughs from his mountain." Subutai finishes the dialogue by saying, "My God is stronger. He's the everlasting sky. Your God lives underneath him."
That's pretty funny.
So when this happens, Conan looks at him like, "I think you got me." And they both laugh it off.
yeah.
So again, we're talking about, religion now. And these two men who are brothers have completely different religious beliefs. They have fun with it almost.
They do. Yeah.
But ultimately, nobody gives a shit.
No, they don't care.
Because in the here and now, what they have to do from day to day, none of that really plays, more of a role than the story at the end of the day while you're eating.
And Crom laughs at your four winds. One of my favorite ones. Crom laughs at your four winds. That's awesome.
So they wind up meeting, or they hear about this great score, right? This great jewel. And they set out to steal it, and it's sort of like a church, a cult temple, who's part of the bigger now Thulsa Doom cult.
Yeah,
and they set out to rob this jewel in this town. When they reach the tower to do it, they wind up running into Valeria.
Yeah.
So now Valeria, played by Sandal Bergman, was awesome. It's awesome because she wasn't a sort of swimsuit cover girl, pretty girl type of actress. She was gritty. She was beautiful,
athletic.
She's like 6 feet tall. Great little anecdote with her.
Yeah, it was a good one.
She was once asked, how tall are you? She says 5'12". And they say, the person responded, I think it was a reporter, responded, "Well, don't you mean 6 feet?" And she said, "A woman should never be 6 feet tall."
That's a great line.
Great line. But she played Valeria brilliantly. One of the great things is that in the movie, she represents a strong woman and equal in many ways to Conan, but she never relinquishes her femininity.
Correct.
You see her when she's in the arms of Conan, she is a woman in the arms of a man.
Yeah, that is correct.
Obviously, that eventually evolves. She's fearless. She's a thief. She's a warrior. She's somebody that pushes them. But after their first score, right, they wind up getting picked up by a king played by Max von Sydow.
Max von Sydow, yeah.
And
who's in the new Star Wars movie.
Right, and who wants Star Wars? It's Conan, all right? Save your fucking pew for later.
All right.
Okay?
Sure.
So, Max von Sydow hires them to retrieve his daughter having fallen victim to the cultist charms of Thulsa Doom.
Yes.
When this happens, I don't know if it was right before. No, I think it was after it happened.
When they're sleeping.
When they're sleeping.
Yeah, it's after.
She wants them to leave.
Correct.
She's like, "Look, let's just go. So when it all came down to it, she was really about Conan.
Yeah, that's true.
And she wasn't at this point, let's go find, more adventure. Let's go steal more stuff, get more jewels.
No.
She found what she wanted.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe if she might not have even known she wanted that, but she was down with Conan now.
Yep.
Conan's destiny and fate obviously had other plans for him.
Yep.
He winds up going and they all follow suit,
Of course.
and he sets out, to find the girl. He realizes that Thulsa Doom is the person who was responsible for the murder of his family.
Two snakes facing each
other. Again, from the opera.
Yeah. But he says that in the movie.
He
Two
does.
snakes facing
He does.
each other. Yeah.
They go and, his first, run-in with Thulsa Doom didn't go as planned.
No.
He, it's funny when he dupes the gay guy into going behind a rock.
Yeah.
And obviously just murders him or whatever, takes his robe and
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
makes it all the way through the and mind you, if you've never seen Conan, you have no idea what we're talking about.
Which is,
but we're kind of not talking to you.
Yeah.
We're just enjoying the story with the brothers.
Yeah.
Right. So when he makes it up there, it's there that he has a scene with Thulsa Doom where the next transformation begins.
Correct.
And this is when Thulsa Doom explains to him what the riddle of steel actually is. And he calls the girl down, come to your father, whatever he says. And she jumps to her death.
Correct.
And he looks at him and he goes, that's power. He goes, that's stronger than steel. So
Yeah.
I remember in The Last Dragon, not to bastardize the talk about Conan. Last Dragon is a pretty badass movie, though.
It's true. Not a good Star Wars, but it's good.
Right. It's no Star Wars. There's not one pew pew to be found. So
Yeah. So Last Dragon.
in The Last Dragon, the final stage, right,
course.
before he becomes a master,
Yes.
he's set off, Bruce Leroy set off to find on his own.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he discovers that he needs to realize that he's the master.
I am the master.
Right. You
Yeah.
got that glow,
Yup, there you
that
go.
show enough, all that shit.
All that stuff.
So back to Conan now.
Yeah.
Thulsa Doom explains pretty much that
Yeah.
to him. He's like, the riddle of steel is that it's nothing compared to the strength of flesh, the
Yeah.
strength of power of people
Correct.
over oneself. So it now, he teaches him a lesson. He has him crucified.
Correct.
And the crucifixion is him being tied to a tree. The tree of woe.
Yes.
Tree of woe.
Tree of woe.
Great part when he bites the vulture's neck.
Not the
kills
best
it.
special effects, but
Not
one of
the
my
best, but you're a
But it's a
freaking
great
movie
scene.
nerd.
It's a great scene.
Incredible. You could have told
Yeah.
me I was a real vulture. I'd have believed you. All right, because I don't want to know.
It is a real vulture. It's a real vulture.
And who is he saved by? Subutai.
Subutai.
So here, brotherhood is shown as something that pays off.
Yeah.
Subutai comes and gets him, and he goes back, and he's a changed man now. You notice his intent is a little bit more deliberate. He seems to be a little bit more serious and strategic in his thinking. But they mount the sort of assault.
Yeah.
Thulsa Doom's lair. Great scene.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You have the orgy playing out.
Correct.
The music is incredible.
Yeah.
They're just classic body paint.
Yeah.
The black stripe paint.
It's awesome.
Just everything was awesome. Subutai has his Mongolian bow.
Yep.
And they're walking around, and eventually they kill a lot of people.
They do.
They get the girl, Max von Sydow's daughter, and it's the first time we see Thulsa Doom actually do something supernatural.
Correct.
He turns into a fucking snake.
Yeah, he does.
It's like, all right, it's not just
Yeah.
it's not just nonsense. He actually has some magic to him. So he disappears into a hole. They get the girl. They're making their getaway, and then we have the scene with Thulsa Doom turns the snake into an arrow.
Yeah.
Takes out Valeria from like 200 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, serious archery.
Legit.
Serious
And then the arrow
archery.
turns back into a snake when he
Right.
pulls it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So she dies.
She dies.
They have the burial scene, which is great because at this point they had already met Mako, the wizard.
Correct. Yeah,
right?
the wizard.
And, the actor's name is Mako. The character, I don't believe they ever gave him a name.
I don't know his name.
The wizard is, I think, is what they referred to him as. But where they stayed, they said that fire wouldn't burn.
Yeah.
And Conan, sets this funeral pyre for Valeria, and it burns, as it's supposed to. And there's a point where Subutai is crying, and the wizard, asks him, why do you cry? And, he Subutai, gestures towards Conan, who's by the pyre, and he says, he is Conan, Cimmerian. He won't cry, so I cry for him.
Yeah.
Another testament to the relationship and the bond, between them. Eventually, he makes his way back.
Yeah.
And he winds up having this tremendous. Well, before he makes his way back to Thulsa Doom, he makes his way back to that little.
Yeah.
Little.
Almost like Stonehenge. It looks
yeah,
like.
Well, right. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
But they set up the battle.
Yeah.
With swords hidden and
awesome.
all these little booby traps, and just an incredible scene. They kill. I think his name was Rexor, who's like the head under Thulsa Doom of the cult. You have one of Conan's or one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's friends,
who's like his stunt double sometimes.
Right. What's his name?
I don't know his name. He's in almost
He's in like everything.
He's in Running Man. He's in everything.
And but he gets it.
Yeah.
During that scene, and then you have the scene where he's about, Conan loses an exchange. I think it was with that guy, his buddy.
Yeah, he started. He was getting the
right. So he's on the floor. He looks like he's about to get it, and all of a sudden, a sword deflects the bad guy's sword, and this big gleaming, light, and he looks up, and it's Valeria in this like just chromed out armor, looking
Valkyrie,
looking like what was the movie? Who's the guy from Wanted? Liam Neeson. Right?
Wanted?
Not Wanted. What am I thinking of? Taken.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah. And remember when he played? Who did he play? Zeus.
Yeah.
They had him like glowing in his
he played Zeus
chromed out
Clash of the Titans.
Right there you go.
Yeah.
And that's what Valeria looked like. Just chromed out.
Yeah.
Bright, like blinding.
Yep.
Looking awesome. And she asks him, do you want to live forever?
Yeah.
Which is like one of my favorite sayings.
It's great.
Hey MC, it's a lot of weight. You should probably lift a little less weight. It's probably safer. Do you want to live forever, or didn't realize you're going to live forever? So
it's interesting.
It's a great scene.
Yeah, awesome.
Freaks Conan out. He goes to reach for his sword immediately. Doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yep.
Turns around, she's gone. But he winds up winning.
Yeah, he gets his father's sword back, even though it's broken.
Right, and
he breaks it.
he wins that battle. Thulsa Doom, James Earl Jones, concedes before he leaves. He makes another arrow, snake arrow, tries to hit the princess.
Correct.
And she's begging him not to kill her. He shoots it. Who saves her? Subutai with the jumping save with the shield.
Jumping save.
Catches the snake arrow. So she's hysterically crying, but they manage, just as like they managed to save the princess.
Correct.
But now the unfinished business lies with Conan and Thulsa Doom.
Yes.
He then meets Thulsa Doom on the top of his
pyramid.
His pyramid, right at the top
of the top of the temple. Yeah.
And obviously,
my favorite scene.
Yeah, obviously, Thulsa Doom's troops, his forces are a little depleted because of the battle.
Yeah.
So Conan makes it.
It almost seems like he led him up there and he tried to turn him. Right. He lost his top guys. So he tries. That's my favorite scene.
Good point.
Where he's like, "You are my son." He's like, "Without me, you would not exist."
Right.
And then Conan, without a single word, just
just
chops his head off, and not very cleanly. He hacks his head off.
Right.
With his father's broken sword.
Which
that's the best.
Yeah. So
I have that replica of that sword. I almost want to break it, just so I have it broken. So it's legit.
He throws Thulsa Doom's head down the stairs, which is awesome.
That's my favorite scene.
And it pretty much ends the cult of Thulsa Doom.
Yeah, because they all kind of just leave.
Right. It's like, all right, I guess he wasn't. I guess he wasn't all that.
I guess we got to find another cult. God damn it! This is the third cult this week.
We'll come back when he turns into Darth Vader.
Yeah, we'll follow that one.
So, it ends there. The story ends with him. Sort of like the pan to the future where he's the king and he's sitting down and he's got the fist on the thigh and he's sitting there contemplating whatever the hell's going through his head. And you have Mako narrating. He was a narrator the whole movie. And he talks about, other adventures in the future.
Yeah, but that was another story.
So they wind up making, after that, Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Conan the Destroyer, I mean, I'll watch Arnold playing Conan if Arnold's playing Conan.
Sure.
But, I mean, it's just like, it could almost have been like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, they didn't do it. It wasn't the same.
Grace Jones, Wilt Chamberlain,
There's some good lines.
There's plenty of good lines.
When the priest is talking, he's like, enough talk. Throws the dagger. But overall, it's not Conan. It's not.
Learn to fight with the weapon, not with the toothpick. And he throws the stick. But, it's another vehicle for us to see Conan on the screen. It is what it is. Not my favorite by any means.
No.
There was supposed to be, and I don't know if you know this, there was supposed to actually be a Conan the Conqueror.
Oh, yeah?
And originally, the way that these movies were planned, they were planned to be like a 5 or 6 series string of Conan movies.
That'd be cool.
It didn't wind up playing out that way.
No.
But there was going to be a third one, which is Conan the Conqueror. It wound up falling apart and it became rewritten to be Kull the Conqueror. So that's how Kull the Conqueror came.
I like that movie.
I love that movie. Kull is also another Robert E. Howard character.
Yeah.
So a little bit of trivia there. But
that wouldn't fit, all the stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And now they have the Legend of Conan. Right. That's the one that's going to be coming out.
Is it? I don't know what the final title is. I heard it was King Conan and Legend of Conan.
I think the Legend of Conan and Arnold's committed to it.
I know he's in it. So.
Right. It's official. It's announced. I think it started. It was supposed to be released, I think, in 2014. So they're a little late.
Yeah, they're kind of. That's what I mean. I don't even remember what the title is.
Yeah, but the
Legend of Conan sounds legit. There was like a poster made. Like there was one official image made, I think, already.
So
yeah.
So who knows?
Cool.
I don't think John Milius is attached to it, but I can only hope for the best. So there
is a chance that will be good.
Well, there's always a chance. It's Conan. It's Arnold playing Conan.
Yeah.
So he's 50-50 at this point.
Yeah, true.
But all right, so let's talk about the mantelpiece today.
Yeah. So
now the mantelpiece is a piece of original art by a friend of mine, one of my SIOC instructors, Tuhan Raphael Kayanen. Now, if you're a comic book nerd, and I mean a comic book nerd, I don't mean owned comics, but you actually know names that go in the front of comics. You already know who Raphael Kayanen is. I got to know him over the last few years, and probably one of the most interesting people I know. He's good at just everything he does, and he holds himself to a standard that transcends most people I've ever met.
100%.
And this is one of his pieces of art. Now, if you've ever been in the Jungle Gym, my academy, the headquarters, I have prints of his all throughout.
Correct.
The school. I have a bunch of originals that I stole for myself in my office and in my home. And this is an example of one of his pieces. Now, the novelty of having one of Raphael Kayanen's art pieces displayed during a Conan episode is he was also one of the artists for the old Conan comics. I don't know which ones. I know it was he had done Conan, he had done Turok, he had done Spider-Man.
Turok's pretty good.
Yeah, he also did if you guys have ever seen what is it? Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Turn Off the Dark, yeah.
The Broadway show. He was one of the set designers, right? The artwork that's on the set.
Legit.
Gave my kids as a gift one of the original sketches that he had for that set design, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So my kids are obsessed with Spider-Man. But when you look at his art, and I look at his art, he just has such a sort of noble, savage type persona embedded in every character that he draws.
Yeah. It's legit.
You know that this guy, for example, will murder whoever he needs to murder. Maybe holding the bunch of skulls, adds a little bit of realism to that thought. but he also has a nobility to him. He's somebody who, very much like Conan in the movie, is studied, is learned, is cultured. So he's not this mindless savage. He's a regal being capable of savagery. And Tuan Raf, he knows that he doesn't have many bigger fans of his art than me. And look, I'm already becoming when you look at the amount of deception, the amount of depth in his artwork, it's just incredible, and it's just oh man,
yeah, it's awesome.
It's just incredible. So Tuan Raf, as we call him in SIOC,
correct.
You're the man.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I hadn't seen this one before.
Yeah, well, this is the last one that I got. I wanted to get a perfect frame for it.
Yeah,
haven't done so. So I want to make sure that I get it just right. It'll probably be up on the wall here.
Awesome. Yeah.
But it has to. I like to keep them in sort of at a height that I could actually enjoy them.
Yeah, correct.
Not sort of off, where people can't see them. But I digress.
Yes.
So
awesome.
Let's get to the pressure player.
Pressure player
for this episode, John Milius. Now, I don't think that Conan, I'm almost certain Conan would not have been anything like it was had John Milius not played the role that he did.
That's 100%.
He has such a strong, powerful track record and pedigree since then, before then. And when you have he and Oliver Stone writing a storyline based on a character designed by Robert E. Howard, it's like just one of those can't miss formulas.
Correct.
I enjoyed. Now, it's worth noting, if you read Robert E. Howard's stories and of Conan and about Conan, you don't see Arnold Schwarzenegger.
True.
Right? So that was a little bit of a sort of perfect storm of events that Arnold wound up being cast. And I think it certainly worked.
Yeah.
But, when you talk about Robert E. Howard's Conan character, you wouldn't really find Arnold, probably, because even in the movie, it said that Arnold had to actually lose some muscle because he looked like a retard swinging a sword around. He wasn't agile enough.
Funny. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Perform, the sword movements necessary. And that
he did pretty good.
Well, he did very well.
On the scene in the beach. That's like, when I was little, that's pretty much what I did every single day.
Right.
Had a sword and I was doing that.
Yeah. So, I mean, with, he certainly pulled it off, but there was a move away from Robert E. Howard's character.
Yep.
So how do you move away from Robert E. Howard's character and still have such a strong final result?
The director.
You add John Milius.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was the cause, for the success of the project.
So a person of lesser talent might not have pulled it off.
Right, absolutely. Which we see
in
our Unicorn.
And there we go, our segue.
So Unicorn, Marcus Nispel, and he was the director of Malibu Conan.
Which it makes no sense. It's Khal Drogo.
Yeah, I mean, Malibu Conan was the Conan made in 2011.
Yeah.
Starring Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Momoa, whatever.
I need Momoa.
So, who is Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones?
Khal Drogo, he's going to be Aquaman.
Yeah.
And looks like the most badass Aquaman ever. If not most badass character of Marvel characters. At DC. It's DC. Comic character, live action ever.
Yeah.
How they managed to take that actor,
I don't know,
and make him Conan and screw it up is just a mystery to me.
They could have just took him off the Khal Drogo, take the Khal Drogo and just put him on the set and have him just say the same stuff. It would have been perfect. Like, he was legit.
I saw, like a lot of people did, we were duped into believing in this movie.
Yep.
When they released that little short.
They released that almost, I think it might have been the first scene of the movie.
Yeah. When he's a kid and he's running, playing that game.
He's got to put the egg in his mouth.
It's just, I was sold. I saw that. I remember I shared it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is the truth. This is going down. And this is going to be incredible.
And at that point, we knew it was the guy from fucking Game of Thrones.
Khal Drogo,
all right, this is going to be great. The first trailer I saw, I didn't think so. because I was like, I don't know, it looks a little too polished.
I saw the kid. That was like the first thing.
Then I saw the kid. I was like, you know what? This might be legit. The scene with that is everyone in the village is little. They had their rite of passage. They put an egg in their mouth, like a robin egg or a blue jay egg, and they have to do a run. And they can't break the egg. These invaders come in, or like I guess they're just like bandits. And basically Conan kills all of them. He brings their heads back, and then he spits the egg out on the rock. It was like, all right, this movie's going to be awesome.
Right. And
yeah,
that was like one idea that one guy had, like in the writing room, that just they were like, "Yep, we're gonna make that happen."
Yeah,
has nothing to do with the plot, but that's gonna be awesome, and it was.
It was great,
but it was the best part of the movie. Unfortunately,
it was the best part of the movie.
So, where did they screw up? Well, first of all, Marcus Nispel was the director.
Yeah,
he made decent movies before.
Yeah.
He made a Pathfinder.
Pathfinder's good.
He did the remake for Friday the 13th.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like, I could see that, this guy's like, all right, it's okay. Now, I will say, the writers that were picked for this movie.
Yeah.
It was one just clusterfuck after the next.
Yeah.
The movies that had been done by these writers beforehand were
Sahara. Yeah.
What was the other one?
Well, I don't remember.
Just a bunch of terrible movies. And just kiddie, commercial, laugh, family entertainment type stuff.
Oh, Walk with Thunder or Sound of Thunder.
Terrible
movie.
So we didn't put the writers as the unicorn. And we very easily could have, but only because I want to hold one guy responsible.
Yeah, well, you know what? He decided to take the job.
Right. He decided to take it. He put out that final product.
Yeah.
And I thought it sucked. I thought, and I will say, because this is something I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa's Conan is more Robert E. Howard's Conan.
With the proper writing and proper direction.
Right. All that being said, but if you talk about just the visual.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right, Jason Momoa is Conan.
Yeah. He's a good Conan.
He's smart. He's cunning. He's agile. He seems muscular but athletic.
Yeah. I agree.
Arnold was Mr. Olympia.
Yes.
He's a statue come to life. Right? And that's not what Conan is written as in the stories. But Jason Momoa just wasted too much supernatural nonsense, too much corny cliche villains.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need villains. We don't need villainry to keep this project going.
They made it was almost like it was similar to the way they started making like the Scorpion King movies and like just corny.
That's exactly right. Just corny. Just
like,
a waste. Conan is violence. In the original Conan, the mother's head was taken off.
Yeah.
He was taken as a slave. Like everybody was.
It's not gritty enough.
Yeah. It's like, this isn't, we call it Malibu Conan.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. It was like this California version of Conan. And
they,
fun for the whole family.
And they even had some good dialogue in there right from the story. Right. But it just they
didn't pull it off.
If you get a better director, a better writer, and you use that same,
that's it.
Exactly.
Just a better writer and better director.
Better writer, better director, and you have him as
better
Conan,
movie.
You can make a good Conan with him as Conan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like what they do to the Wolverine movies. It's like very similar.
Let's not. Come on, Wolverine, 6-foot Wolverine. Oh yeah, I'm also an actor on Broadway.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. That was supposed to be my movie role.
I know.
I would have gotten shape for it. Cut carbs, everything.
Yeah, you're crazy.
I wouldn't have shaved my back. But I digress. Yeah. So, Marcus Nispel, director of Malibu Conan.
Yes.
You're the unicorn.
Terrible.
All right. So, man card movie. Conan the Barbarian. My number 2. Your number something. Break it down, you cracker.
Conan. Conan has been one of my favorite movies since I saw it. And I watch it all the time. It was for my son. It was one of his first movies we watched together. He recognized the Pressure Project music. He's like, "Hey, that's the music from the podcast." I was like, "Well, actually, it's the other way around." But Conan's an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You should watch it immediately and show your children, as I don't care. Like, they need to see it as well. It's an excellent movie. It's a man card movie. And if you haven't watched it, then you're suspect.
Well said. Violence, father-son, brotherhood, vengeance, pressure to power, culture, growth, exploration, a journey, love. There are so many things installed into this plot that you could not argue for it not being seen by your children, especially your sons. Everything that's good about being a man and being a warrior is reflected in this movie. The journey of who he was in the beginning to who he wound up being at the end of the story is exactly the type of transformation that you want to expose undeveloped young men's minds to. You want to let them know you're just getting started. And Conan the Barbarian is a great vehicle for that. When you listen to the music, it's just, we listen to the music all the time, training, and it just, you feel like you want to do manly things. You feel like you want to pick up a sword and swing it at someone. But this is the sign of a good movie. This is a sign of a great movie. It inspires you to think of things, to deal with things that transcend the scope of the movie itself. I cannot recommend it enough. Thank you, folks, for listening to this episode. Man Card Movie episode. I will say, Jack Donovan on his Start the World podcast did a Conan episode. You should certainly watch it because he focuses on some other aspects of the movie, and it's an incredible talk about Conan as well. We have to cover all of our bases, so we had to do a Conan episode.
Had to do it. We were actually going to do it a long time ago.
Yeah, but we couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
So check that out on Jack's podcast. ThePressureProject.com is our website. info@thepressureproject.com is our contact email. YouTube.com/ThePressureProject is our channel. Subscribe. Remember, guys, in May 1st?
May 1st.
Days away at the time of this recording.
Yes.
We're moving to a paid model. There's a good chance that you'll be listening to this, and we would have already been into this period. We now have a membership site available for you guys.
Yes.
Go to pressureprojectmembers.com and check it out. Sign up. If this is before May 1st that you're hearing this, then make sure that your name is on the newsletter list so we can keep you updated. The amount of content and the projects we have planned for the member side of the Pressure Project is incredible. It really gives me the opportunity, now that we're funding through the Pressure Project, the side projects that we have, it allows me a lot more liberty, freedom, and means by which to create the type of content that our listeners enjoy. Thank you, folks, for listening. We look forward to speaking to you on the next episode. And as always, brothers, pressure to power.